quarter of a mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the second exit onto the Parkway, A312. Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway. Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile. In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway Interchange, take the second exit onto the M4 Slip Road to Heathrow Airport, M25.
Okay, Bernie and Kilmarnock, thanks for your call this evening. Bit of a mix there. Yes, the government has a responsibility to educate, agree with that, particularly in schools, where I think teaching about food is, well, from my experience a few years ago now, pretty dire. It needs to be better. I do, of course, there's some degree of personal responsibility, but I don't think really that is necessarily where the problem is. Coming up off the break, household energy bills set to run double unless there is further intervention. We will be getting the latest on that, and of course, more of your calls on this issue of obesity. First, let's get some news headlines from Tim Humphrey.
Exit the roundabout onto the Slip Road. In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
The government in England has decided against imposing COVID measures before New Year's Eve. Restaurants and bar owners, meanwhile, are welcoming the clarity on guidelines from the 31st of December, and they've issued a fresh call for support to offset cancellations caused by the Omicron variant. England cricket captain Joe Root says it would be selfish to worry about his own future in the role after a humiliating defeat to Australia, which lost them the Ashes. They were bowled out as 68 to lose by an innings of 14 runs in the third test in Melbourne, giving the hosts an unbeatable 3-0 lead in the series. And the weather, frost and patchy fog in the north tonight, rain and strong winds moving north-eastwards across England, Wales, Northern Ireland and later on western Scotland, a low of -3 in northern Scotland. LBC into 2022.
I'm Ian Dale, and thank you for sharing your opinions with me on LBC over the last 12 months.
Have we assessed the risks of wearing face masks?
Sorry, are we really going to have that argument again?
I completely agree with the Prime Minister. This has to be now about personal attitude to risk, and if people want to continue to wear face masks on public transport,
Will you?
that is their decision. No, I won't be.
You won't. How irresponsible
is a simple, commission-free way of investing in the stock market called free trade. It's something they don't want you to know about. They being the traditional investment firms. Free trade puts you in control of your portfolio. You buy and sell the shares you choose, commission-free. No wonder they don't want you to know about it. Open an account at freetrade.io/radio with as little as £1 and get a free share worth up to £200. Get started investing with free trade.
When you invest, your capital is at risk and the value of your investments can go down as well as up. Terms and eligibility criteria apply. Other charges may apply.
Euronics is a network of over 600 independent electrical stores. They've been right on your high street for generations, each one offering great local service and value on big brand home appliances like Indesit, Hotpoint and Zanussi. Everything comes direct from your local store. Get the brands you love. Pop in, go online or give them a call. Independent stores supporting local communities just how it should be.
Omicron COVID-19 is spreading fast. Every adult in the country now needs to get a COVID-19 booster vaccine because 2 doses do not give you enough protection against catching Omicron. Boosters give you the best possible protection against the virus and should significantly reduce your risk of serious illness and hospitalization. Strengthen your protection and get boosted now.
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
Vaccination.
This is LBC with Ben Kentish. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
25 to 7. Niall on text says, can we ban ice cream?
Keep right to stay on M4.
And why not ban all processed unhealthy food too? Niall says we would soon get used to it not being there. No, I don't agree with you on that. I'm not in the place where I think we should just stop banning things. There's lots of things in this country that are not healthy. Cigarettes, tobacco, alcohol to a certain extent. We don't just ban it. The issue about schools is an interesting one. Do we really need to have fast food restaurants, ice cream vans, chip shops and etc. so close to schools? Although Chris in Bournemouth points out lots of schools are in towns and city centres, so it's hard to ban them unless you're talking about literally right outside. But I do think there's an issue about schools and young people. 2 really important texts here, I think. Victoria: hi Ben, I'm a psychotherapist. In my experience, generally, many of the people, whether obese or underweight, often tend to have other emotional issues and the food is used as a crutch. That's Victoria in Glasgow. And similarly, from, there's another text about someone saying with medication that she's on, this is Lisa and Harry, I'm very overweight because of having to take medication for severe mental health issues. I hate when people place the blame on individuals like me when I don't have a choice about the medication I take. That's Lisa and Harry, 2 very linked perspectives about the nature of obesity and how often it's linked to either medication or mental health also. Not always, of course, but when people say, oh, they simply need to eat less, these people, what would you say to Lisa and Harry? What would you say to Victoria's patients in Glasgow? Let's see what Eve has to say. Eve's in Brixton. Hi, Eve.
Hi, yeah, it's about eating, you know, I mean, we don't need the nanny state telling us what to do. You know, people know what to do, they know what's bad, they know what isn't bad, they know what to cut out, you know, they may not necessarily know how, but they have, you know, people generally have an idea of what is good for them. I appreciate that, you know, having been overweight myself, I'm not now, but having been in that position, it's not always easy. Yes, you know, we do have a plethora of fast food chains.
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
Some of us work shifts and, you know, sometimes we don't want to cook, you know, because that can be quite time consuming. So, you know, we have the convenience of fast food. But generally, you know, people know what to do. You know, we don't need to be told. And
Keep right to stay on M4.
banning things is not going to help the issue. You know, it's like when the government decided to put a sugar tax. It didn't stop people from buying sugary drinks.
Continue on M4 for 4 miles.
Banning things is just going to take
But it did lead to some manufacturers using less sugar because they didn't want their products to be more expensive. And it's about sort of pushing people in the right direction.
Yeah, I get that basically, but you know, it doesn't stop people from buying stuff, and I think the government did that because they wanted to, they were hoping that the sugar tax would actually make things more expensive so people stop buying it. It's like making cigarettes more expensive, people still haven't stopped buying it, so, but anybody who's overweight, you can have willpower, but then, as the lady said, willpower isn't always something that people have, and, what people can do is cut out certain things gradually, because if you go cold turkey, you're just gonna get hungry for the things that are supposed to be bad. But
what helped you most, Steve? Was you say you were someone who struggled with their weight previously. Is that what helped you the most?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm somebody that just stopped, but not everybody can. Because I lived on a diet of chicken and chips almost every day, and then and the fact that I go to the gym, you cannot out-train a bad diet. So I had to change my diet in order to, make the fact that I'm going to the gym actually work. So, willpower is not something everybody has, which is why people need to, it will be advised that people go gradually, and then over time, that gradual process will actually help them to have the dedication in order to carry on that trajectory.
Hey Eve, that sounds like good advice to me. Just lastly on this, do you think, you say you don't agree with things being banned, and I agree with you on that. Do you think the government should be stricter in what food manufacturers are allowed to put in their products? Should they instruct those manufacturers to half the amount of salt and sugar, for example? Is that the sort of thing that you would support?
They could advise them, but then it's up to. But then
they could ban sugar over a certain threshold. They could ban a certain amount of salt. Wouldn't ban the product, but it would help, wouldn't it?
It would help people's health, but then also you've got to understand there are people out there.
There's congestion ahead.
Taste intuitive, and they will stop buying those products because of the lack of sugar and salt. So,
In 2 miles, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
follow those guidelines and think again, and if they want people to continue buying their products, they have to, think about, people's health at the same time.
Eve, good to speak to you, Even Brixton there. Back to your calls on this in just a moment. First, I want to bring into conversation Adam Scorer, Chief Executive of the National Energy Action, a charity working to eradicate fuel poverty. There are lots of reports today that household energy bills are set to at least double, some reports say treble, without further intervention, and that is going to affect all of us. So let's speak to Adam. Adam, thanks for joining us tonight. How big a problem is this, and what can government do to prevent it?
It's an enormous problem, and it's a problem that we've seen coming for a number of months. So it's going to be a shockwave of energy prices that will affect every single household in the country. But for those households on tighter budgets and in leaky homes, it will push them over the edge. It will explode households' budgets, and that's not just a problem with people getting into debt or not being able to make the weekly budget meet. It means ill health. It means people living in cold homes, respiratory conditions. It means pressure on the NHS over the winter, and it also means inevitably more avoidable deaths caused by cold homes. So it's financial, it's emotional, it's health. It hits at the very well-being of some of the most vulnerable households in society.
What's the cause of it, Adam?
The cause of the price spikes that we're seeing at the moment is the global gas market. We buy half of our gas at least on the global market after the pandemic. Very, very fast recoveries, especially in the Far East. The price of gas has skyrocketed all over the country.
In a quarter of a mile, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
Because we have a price cap in operation, we haven't really felt the whole heat of those wholesale spikes yet. That's going to come in April when the regulator announces what the new price cap limit will be, and at that point, that's where we're going to see all this built-up pressure of the global
Exit at junction 6.
just falling on top of the homes of some of the most vulnerable in society.
What can the government do about that if it's a global issue?
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the 3rd exit onto Tuns Lane, A355.
Companies, but what they should do is stand by those people who are going to get hit hardest. Quite frankly, immediately, it needs to be financial support. People will not be able to afford to keep their homes warm, and therefore government will need to find ways of putting some cash into their pockets. Over the medium term, We need to make sure that people on the lowest incomes have access to the very cheapest deal that can be done. That's not just the cheapest market deal, but a price underneath the market. The price cap is not there actually to protect people who can't afford the price of energy. It's to protect people who don't switch in the market. But I have to say, the long-term one, and it's something we've known for decades, is you need to build fuel poverty out of people's homes, insulate them from these volatile, punitive energy prices by making our lousy housing stock more energy efficient, so people need to use less and pay less to stay warm.
And just finally, what sort of size of increase are we talking about for an average household in their bills?
Well, we're going to see the cost of heating your home double over an 18-month period. People are talking about an average bill. People don't live in average households, but an average bill of around £2,000. That's an extraordinary increase.
£2,000?
£2,000 for an energy bill over a year, and that's an average household. If you're in a leaky home, where you really have to use lots of energy,
exit the roundabout onto Tons Lane.
You may have people staying at home. It's going to be even more. It is an extraordinary increase that we have seen coming for a number of months.
In a quarter of a mile, slight left towards Sippenham Lane.
And hoping it will just blow over in a number of months. It won't, and only government are able to step in and support low-income households.
Thanks for your time. Adam Squirrel, Chief Executive of National Energy Action there. Back to our debate and our conversation on obesity. Margie in Redbridge says, Ben, I think parents and governments, past and present, should accept the blame for some of the obesity in children today. Every school child should have at least one full PE lesson per week.
Slight left towards Sippenham Lane.
Reinstated in schools. One a week, Margie. One PE lesson a week. One a day, it should be. One PE, an hour, every single day, in every single
Continue
school,
for 1.5 miles.
For PE or sport or games, whatever games, broaden out the range of games. If people don't like hockey or football or tennis, find something else. No excuse. Scrap a geography lesson, get rid of a maths test. Do less English literature, I don't care what it is. PE should be done in school. Once a day, an hour a day, yes to competitive sport. Find activities that kids like. Don't make them run around in the cold doing boring sports if they don't want to. Make it fun, make it interesting. PE, 1 hour every day, helps solve the problem, not completely. Why isn't it happening right now, I would say to you. So yes, I agree with you, but not once a week. Let's get real here. We have a crisis. 1 hour every day, please, in every single school in this country. Lots of private schools do more. They have the facilities, they have the time. We need to get to a place where more state schools, like mine, where there was one field and a couple of courts, they need help to be able to provide those lessons, but there is no excuse for government, for schools not to be doing it, in my view. What do you think? 6:46.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Natasha Devon.
Tomorrow marks 6 years since coercive control was made a criminal offence. But do we yet understand what it is, and are survivors receiving justice?
Natasha Devon on LBC. This is LBC.
Britain, latest intelligence from the Money Super 7 shows you could get a better deal on your credit card. But don't panic. You could super save £327 with help from the smarts. Visit Money Supermarket to save now.
The Money Super 7, helping Britain save on credit cards and so much more. Super save with Money Supermarket. Saving based on £2,000 transfer to a 0% card over 12 months, 1.5% BTV, 5% monthly payment versus 21% card, October 21. MoneySupermarket.com Limited is a credit broker, 18 plus, subject to status.
For the latest travel news, go to lbc.co.uk.
I run a bike shop. I've been bringing in stock from the EU for years. And next year, I want to be doing the same. The rules might be changing, but my business isn't. Before, you could delay your customs declarations, but from the 1st of January, you can't. You've got to do it when the goods enter the country. So I'm starting right now. To keep your business moving, visit gov.uk/import goods into UK.
Booking a hotel can be a bit of a hassle. The fake reviews, the endless options, not to mention the fear of getting a bad deal. But with Premier Inn, you can cast all those worries aside, because with us, you know exactly what you're getting. Like great value family rooms at over 800 locations, plenty of parking, and delicious food to please everyone, even the fussy ones. So you can family trip without any of the faff. Premier Inn. Rest easy. Only available to book at premierinn.com.
Hi there. Right now, I'm in the left speaker. But now
fast charging points where and when you need them, including ultra-fast charging, to get you back on the open road as soon as possible. Find out more about EV charging from BP in the right speaker. Search BP Pulse.
Get in early and save more in the Furniture Village sale. Like an extra £100 off all power recliner sofas, 2 free chairs on many dining sets, and a king size for the price of a double on a huge choice of beds. The Furniture Village sale. Don't miss early bird offers.
That's the soothing sound of a barbershop quartet that have found the better way to buy a quality car from Kazoo. All Kazoo cars pass a thorough 300-point inspection, come with a 90-day warranty, roadside assistance, and a 7-day money-back guarantee. That's 1 whole week to make sure they love it. Can you buy a quality car that's guaranteed to leave you happy? Kazoo, yeah you can.
Ben Kentish on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Just coming up to 10 to 7, Chris is in Norwich on this question of how we tackle the obesity crisis in our country. Hi Chris.
Hello, Chris. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Good.
What do you think?
So, I've been a long-term believer in this, and it frustrates me so much whenever I hear these calls from people about all these ideas. This is not a governmental problem. The fundamental thing is it's a parental problem. Kids don't have their own money to go out buying fast food, junk food. It's me. I used to give my kids cash for food, lunchtime, food in the evening. They used to go and spend it on McDonald's, KFCs, whatever. I noticed it was becoming a problem, so instead of taking them...
In 300 yards, turn left onto Buckingham Avenue.
There are certain manufacturing debit cards you can get, which link to apps on phones, which notify you every time